in between, but the last time this was the verse.
Okay.
But this is the one I read already. I think I was going to comment.
Yeah, I think we were going to comment on this because we didn't time to discuss it.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll just quickly go through this one, and you can read the next one.
Mm-hmm. Sure, Prabhu. We'll begin with the prayers.
Yep.
Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Abhatrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Okay. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, verse 20, chapter 20, verse 13, the creation of the fourth order. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I won't read the Sanskrit again, but I'll read the translation. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always equipoised and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you in the intermediate stage or lower than you. Do not be disturbed by temporary distress or happiness. Fully control your mind and senses. In this transcendental position, try to execute your duty as king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Here is an example of receiving instruction direct from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. One has to execute the order of Lord Vishnu, whether receiving it directly from him or from his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Arjuna fought the battle of Kurukshetra under the direct order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Similarly, here, Prithu Maharaj is also being given orders by Lord Vishnu regarding the execution of his duty. We have to stick to the principles stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vayasayat Maka Buddhi. Every man's duty is to receive orders from Lord Krishna or from his bona fide representative and take these orders as his life and soul, without personal considerations. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that one should not care very much whether he is going to be liberated or not, but he should simply execute the direct order received from the spiritual master. If one sticks to the principle of abiding by the order of the spiritual master, he will always remain in a liberated position. A common man must execute the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma by working in his prescribed duty according to the caste system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, and the spiritual order system, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. If one simply executes regularly and strictly the injunctions given for the different divisions of life, then one satisfies Lord Vishnu. As a king, Prithu Maharaj was ordered by Lord Vishnu to keep himself always aloof from the activities of the bodily situation and to engage always in the service of the Lord and keep himself in the liberated stage. The word Badha Surida in the previous verse is explained herewith. One can fully remain in intimate connection with the Supreme Lord directly or receive orders from his bona fide spiritual master, from his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, and execute the orders sincerely when one keeps aloof from the activities of the body. The Lord helps us by giving us directions how to act in devotional service and thus advance on the path back home, back to Godhead. He instructs us outwardly in the form of the spiritual master. Therefore, one should not accept the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. The Lord says, Acharyam mam vijanayan nava manyeta karhichit. One should not treat the spiritual master as an ordinary human being, for he is the substitute for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 11:17-27. One should treat the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and never be envious of him or consider him to be an ordinary human being. If we follow the instruction of the spiritual master and execute devotional service to the Lord, we will remain always free from the contamination of bodily and material activities, and our life will be successful. So, this shows us the importance of taking seriously these instructions that we get in various forms, either directly from the spiritual master or through reading Srila Prabhupada's books, or in some other way, we can be instructed in our spiritual life. And we should always understand that that's not an ordinary thing. When we receive instructions about our spiritual life in some form or another, then we can get realizations and we can make advancement. We can take seriously these orders given by the Lord through the spiritual master, because obviously we can't directly take those from Krishna himself. So it has to come down through the parampara like a ripened fruit. Like a fruit comes down from the top of a tree down to the bottom. It gets passed down carefully. Otherwise, if the fruit falls off the tree and lands on the ground, it just gets spoiled. So we always have to remember that, we're receiving this knowledge through a bona fide chain of guru and disciple, and that we're learning these different aspects of spiritual life. And we can also receive instructions from the Lord himself through the Paramatma. The Lord can instruct us through the Paramatma, or he can instruct us externally or directly. If we're that advanced, like Maharaj Preeta, we can get orders directly from the Lord. So that's another way. But generally speaking, it's either through the Chaitya Guru or through the external Guru, either the Diksha Guru or the Shiksha Guru. And it says here, we must execute the rules and regulations of Varna Ashram Dham by working in his prescribed duty. So we have to do that. A common man must execute that. But we also have to follow these. We also follow the system of the caste system and the spiritual order system, especially the spiritual order system. But we also serve the Lord according to our nature, which is important also. Until we become to the advanced stage that we can actually perform any service, whether it's the service of a Sudra or the service of a Brahmana or anything in between, that's the real devotee. He can do the needful according to what has to be done. He's expert. So, but if we do this, if we stay within our spiritual order and we serve the Lord according to our nature, then the Lord will be pleased with that. And so we see that, many examples of this in the scriptures, and even Srila Prabhupada himself, he was actually reluctant to take sannyas. but he took it anyway because he knew that he could see that he had to take that order to spread the movement, to get respect, especially in India. You know, sannyasis get respect, so he accepted that, and I think his spiritual master came to him in a dream and ordered him to take sannyas. So, you know, these are special devotees, but we can see that they take up these orders, they follow these orders of their spiritual masters, and they take up these different, you know, spiritual orders. The spiritual order system. So they take up these different spiritual orders to please the Lord and to serve the Lord in some way. So we also have to do that. We have to accept different situations so that we can please the Lord in some way. And we should never consider that the spiritual master is an ordinary human being, someone who's surrendered to the Lord and is in the parampara and is following his spiritual master's instructions seriously, should not be treated like shouldn't be considered as an ordinary human being. He's something special. He's not just an ordinary person. So, and the last sentence here is very important. If we follow the instruction of the spiritual master and execute devotional service to the Lord, we will remain always free from the contamination of bodily and material activities, and our life will be successful. So if we just do this, if we just follow these instructions of the spiritual master and execute devotional service in some form or other, whether it's chanting or serving the deities or whatever it is that we're trying to do, we'll always remain free from this contamination of the body, you know, considering ourselves the body, and the activities related to the body. So we won't be caught up in this bodily concept of life, and we won't act according to our body's demands. We'll just try to center all everything on Krishna's service, pleasing Krishna somehow through the spiritual master. And as long as we're trying to do that, we'll be free from the contamination of bodily and material activities, and then everything will be successful. Even if not materially successful, you know, we have to understand success doesn't necessarily mean that we get a nice, comfortable house and a very comfortable situation. It can mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Success can mean becoming spiritually advanced, which means you're not attached to these situations. You don't care whether you're in a nice palace or, you know, in a mud hut. It doesn't matter where you are. You're happy. So that's the level that we have to come to, that we don't just become too attached to the bodily comforts and also to material activities. We want to be free from that completely and just develop a taste in spiritual life so that we naturally just don't take any interest in material activities and become contaminated by that the demands of the body and, you know, sense gratification, so that, you know, we want to see a movie or something or eat chocolate, whatever it is, you know, we're just giving in to the demands of the mind and the tongue. All right, that's all I can think of to say about that, unless you wanted to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. It's very true. Like when we begin to accept the orders of the spiritual master, then that's a very significant step in changing everything, our thoughts, our consciousness, our activities, everything, and relate them to Krishna. So
Mm.
So
Okay.
today I see Srimati Mataji is also here. Welcome Mataji, welcome back.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Danuttanam, Namaste Shri Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. It's been a long time. I'm also thinking like I have to join, but somehow or other I'm missing the time, and later I'm realizing. So today I thought I'll start again. I'm
Yeah,
missing
it's-
Bhagavatam reading. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you and Primarisa also today.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Mataji, I want to take a minute to introduce Rasarasika Prabhu.
Mhm.
So he has been joining our reading regularly, and that is really helping us to keep it regular, more regular nowadays. So we are in Canto 4, Chapter 20. This is text 14. Canto
Yes,
4,
yes.
Chapter 20, text 14.
Hare
Would you
Krishna.
like?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice
Krishna.
realizations. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, would you like to read the next verse?
Sure, Mataji. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shreya Prajapalanam eva rajño yatsam samparaye sukratat sasthamam sam hartanyatha hrita punya prajanam arakshita karaharokham ati. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To give protection to the general mass of people who are citizens of the state is prescribed occupational duty for a king. By acting in that way, the king in his next life shares 1/6 of the result of the pious activities of the citizens. But a king or executive head of state who simply collects taxes from the citizens but does not give them proper protection as human beings has the results of his own pious activities taken away by the citizens, and in exchange for his not giving protection, he becomes liable to punishment for the impious activities of his subjects. Purport. The question may be raised here that if everyone engaged in spiritual activities to attain salvation and became indifferent to the activities of the material world, then how could things as they are go on? And if things are to go on as they ought to, how can a head of state be indifferent to such activities? In answer to this question, the word Shreya, auspicious, is used here. The division of activities in society as arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead was not blindly or accidentally created as foolish people say. The Brahmana must do his duty properly, and the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and even the Sudra must do the same. And every one of them can achieve the highest perfection of life, liberation from this material bondage. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.45. Sve sve karmani abhiratah samsiddhim labate naraha. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can attain the highest perfection. Lord Vishnu advised Maharaja Prithu that a king is not enjoined to give up his kingdom and the responsibility of protecting the prajas or citizens to instead go away to the Himalayas for liberation. He can attain liberation while executing his royal duties. The royal duty or the duty of the head of state is to see that the prajas or the general mass of people are doing their respective duties for spiritual salvation. A secular state does not necessitate a king or head of state who is indifferent to the activities of the prajas. In the modern state, the government has many rules and regulations for conducting the duties of the prajas, but the government neglects to see that the citizens advance in spiritual knowledge. If the government is careless in this matter, the citizens will act whimsically without any sense of God realization or spiritual life and thus become entangled in sinful activities. An executive head should not be callous to the welfare of the general mass of people while he simply goes on collecting taxes. The king's real duty is to see that the citizens gradually become fully Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious means completely free from all sinful activities. As soon as there is complete eradication of sinful activities in the state, then there will be no more war, pestilence, famine, or natural disturbances. This was actually prevailing during the reign of Maharaja Yudhishthira. If a king or head of the government is able to induce the citizens to become Krishna conscious, then he is worthy to rule over the mass of people. Otherwise, he has no right to levy taxes. If the king looks after the spiritual interests of the citizens, he can levy taxes without difficulties. In this way, both the subjects and the king will be happy during this life, and in the next life, the king will be able to share 1/6 of the pious activities of the citizens. Otherwise, by levying taxes on the sinful citizens, he will have to share the reactions of their sinful activities. This same principle can be applied to parents and spiritual masters as well. If parents simply give birth to children like cats and dogs but cannot save their children from imminent death, they become responsible for the activities of their animalistic children. Lately, such children are turning into hippies. Similarly, if a spiritual master cannot direct his disciples to become free of sinful activities, he becomes responsible for their sinful acts. These subtle laws of nature are unknown to the present leaders of society. Since the leaders of society have a poor fund of knowledge and the citizens in general are rogues and thieves, there cannot be an auspicious situation for human society. At the present moment, the whole world is full of such an incompatible combination of state and citizens, and therefore there is constant tension, war, and anxiety as an inevitable result of such social conditions. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, would you like to share some?
Yeah, I'll try, Mataji, little bit. So basically here in this verse, I think this is the chapter of Prithu Maharaj, right, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Here, Lord Vishnu appears to Prithu Maharaj after he performs his sacrifice. That is the
Okay.
chapter.
Mhm. So these are all instructions are given by Vishnu, Lord Vishnu.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Yeah. So here, so Vishnu, Lord Vishnu is telling that so how a king should be, and so to give protection to the general mass of people who are citizens of the state is the prescribed occupational duty. So when the king is pious and he is giving protection, what he has to do, that if he is doing, then he shares 1/6 of the result of the pious activities of the citizens. So because if he directs the citizens to good things like not being sinful, or if he is ruling correctly, citizens will also be in a good man. They'll be also leading their lives in a good way. So then automatically the pious credits are also come to the king. And so, but suppose if a king is not interested in the welfare of citizens or in the so pious activities of the citizens, then he'll be just taking the results of the impious citizens. So he'll also be getting punishment for the impious activities of the citizens. That is the whole point here. But so Srila Prabhupada is nicely explaining step by step, like so how this in the first paragraph he's saying that the divisions of activities in society as arranged by the Supreme Personality was not blindly or accidentally created as foolish people say. So the Varnashrama created by the Lord, so it's not a very random thing which is happening. So it's a very pre-planned, and it's for the well-being of the citizens, of the people, of the living beings. So that's what here Srila Prabhupada is saying that. So everyone should do their duties properly. The Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and even Sudra. So everyone has to do the duties. Otherwise, they'll be involved into sinful activities, and so a lot of other problems will be created. So that's what, and how a king should be. So So Srila Prabhupada is comparing with the previous age to the modern age. So where how the government is treating the citizens nowadays. We see, so since time immemorial, so since past we see that most of the governments, they are more interested in how to collect taxes and how to spend money, all that, but impose rules and regulations over the citizens, but they are not actually concerned about the welfare of the citizens. So because God realization is not there, whenever the king or the rulers, they have this God realization or Krishna consciousness, then only they can rule properly. Otherwise they are always behind the money and how to collect taxes and how to use the citizens for their good. That's what they see always. So but Srila Prabhupada is here mentioning that so unless here the king is Krishna consciousness, he is not worthy to rule the mass of people. So otherwise he is not a king only, and he'll not be happy also. He'll be always in anxiety, what to do next, like that. So we know a lot of kings like demons, like demon kings like Kamsa and Ravana. All these they all have demonic qualities, and they always torture brahmanas, and I think they don't see the welfare of the citizens. But and also here we have King Parikshit and King Yudhishthira, Maharaj Yudhishthira. They are the example for the pious kings, and they are always concerned about the welfare of the citizens, and Lord Rama also. So we have a lot of examples as bad examples also. But here, whenever the king is like that, they always share the results of their activities of their citizens. If they are sinful, the king is also sharing. So, and all here in the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is telling that same principle is applied to parents and spiritual masters as well. So if anybody is in the position of a parent or spiritual master or king, so everyone should, if they are behaving like this, they are caring about the welfare of the citizens or their children or their disciples, then automatically they all become sinful, and they should be responsible for their activities, for those people's activities. So that's what I understood, Mataji. Please add, Prabhuji also, if you want, you can add something.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing. I think you
Yeah.
covered.
I say. Nicely covered. Yes. Okay. Will we finish up here?
Yeah, that's okay. Would anybody like to read more, or should we stop here? Ruchi Mataji is also here. Hare Krishna, Ruchi Mataji.
So nowadays, usually the call is only for half an hour, Mataji.
Mataji, we usually try to keep it short, like half an hour to 40 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mataji. Yeah. We can meet tomorrow also, no problem.
Okay, so we will end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for Hare Krishna.
Thank you.